we thought we'd ask the local president of the Fayettville NAACP if he has a problem with the flyer. We'd like to welcome on our guest line James Buxton Jr., who is the president of the Fayetteville, North Carolina branch of the NAACP. Mr. Buxton, welcome to the Mike Gallagher Show. How are you, sir?
Fine, and you?
Good, thank you. I appreciate you joining us on such short notice. Help me understand this. The facts as reported by the Daily Caller, I presume you could hear me while you were on hold. Are they correct? Does this flyer really depict a black man being lynched by whites and basically a pro-Kay Hagan message on it?
Yes, it does. However, let me set the record straight.
Sure.
When I was contacted by the newspaper, I had not seen the flyer, and he read the statement about Kay Hagan, and I in turn told him at that time, well, that's what has been said by far-right conservatives, that if they were elected and they took over the House and the Senate, that one of the first things they would do is to impeach him. Now, that has been said many times. So I was commenting on that statement. Now, after looking at the lynching in the background, it drew me to believe that they were also letting you know that the Tea Party has been talking about taking this country back for years. And that was the connotation of letting them know that this is where they want to take you, back to the 50s when they could hang you.
And that's how you feel, as the president of the NAACP in Fayetteville, that the Tea Party wants to lynch black people?
This is what they have been said. That's what they said. This is not what I said. This is what I have read it, I have heard it, and I've seen it on blogs throughout, Civil Observer blogs all over. This has been said many times.
What has been said?
That they want to take the country back. And what this picture means, taking us back to the 50s, would mean just what they see in the paper.
I mean, Mr. Buxton, I didn't invite you on the show to argue and yell and everything, so I'm not going to. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible, but you honestly, well, I understand, but you honestly feel that way, that when somebody says, boy, we got to take our country back, your connotation of that is to go back to the 50s or the 40s and 30s when blacks were lynched? That's what you hear?
No, that's what some of your people have used.
My
Not
people?
me. This is what they've said.
Wow.
And
Can you give me an example of that?
And some of the Tea Party events that I have seen.
Can you give me a specific example of a Tea Partier saying that they'd like to lynch black people?
I'm not going to give you an example right now because you're just calling me. I've heard this many times.
Right. Well, just from your memory, give me one. Maybe you don't have to be, kind of generically. When did you hear? What rally did you hear a Tea Party person say they'd like to lynch black people?
Sir, you're not going to pin me down to what rally or whatever. You asked me a question, I gave you an answer.
I'd love the answer. You haven't given me the answer. I'd just love to hear who would have possibly said they'd like to lynch black people.
I'm asking what I've heard.
You've heard Tea Party people say they'd like to lynch black people?
Yes, I have.
So surely you'll remember where you were when that was said.
Why would I want to remember that? That's something I won't never want to keep in my mind.
Well, that's something I'd never forget if I heard it, because I'd like to call them out.
Guess what?
Yes, sir?
I was raised up in that era when blacks were being hanged, so I know about it. Okay.
Well, I think we all do. I think we all do. That's why if somebody.
I don't need to remember where it was said. I'm looking at what I see now, and this is what the connotation of this picture means to me.
Well, and honest to goodness, I think you and I would both agree that if somebody said that now, that they were in favor of lynching black people, that's somebody who needs to be called out, and we ought to know who it is and where they said it, right?
I'm sure they do. But guess what? I know that would never happen. I know that would never happen. But you have people right now thinking that they're going to take this country back. That's why they'll arm themselves. They're going to have the race wars and all this stuff that they're talking. This goes on here in North Carolina, sir. I don't know where you are, but this goes on here. Well,
I spent a lot of time in South Carolina, and I spent plenty of time in North Carolina. I've never met anybody who ever believed or stated that they believed that blacks ought to be lynched. Ever.
Well, that's okay. Well,
I mean, and honest to goodness, I'm not trying to pin you down, as you put it. I would really appreciate you being able to point me in the right direction to tell me who said it and when. I mean, because I'd love to know.
You should know good and well I'm not going to be able to tell you who said. I don't even know the people. Why would I know Who said it? I don't know who said it.
But you said you heard it said.
Yes, I read it too.
Well, can you tell me where you read it?
Go online to any blog, a right-wing conservative blog, and you will see a lot of racist literature.
I'm just frustrated. James Buxton is our guest. He's the president of the Fayettville, North Carolina branch of the NAACP, and a flyer was put out on parishioners, black parishioners' car windows that shows people being lynched, a black guy being lynched by white people, and somehow tied that into Tom Tillis challenging Kay Hagan. Mr. Buxton, it's so frustrating to those of us on the right who abhor racism and find that disgusting that you'd make an accusation like this but can't really back it up with any facts.
Well, here's the thing then. If you're for it, why don't you speak out against it more? Because you go to Fox News anytime, and you're here.
I'm a Fox News contributor. I appear on Fox News regularly. I've never can you give me one example of when you heard on Fox News that that Tea Partiers or conservatives want blacks lynched?
No, I'm talking about if you are for racism.
Can you give me an example of somebody for racism on Fox News?
You listen to it every day, you'll hear it.
Can you give me one example from any day?
I'm not giving an example while I'm driving. But
while you're driving.
I can listen to Fox News, and I hear racist comments every day.
I see. So, but surely you could. Well, give me like who was the last person you said a racist comment on Fox News?
I'm not giving you anybody's name because you're trying to pin me down to make me say something that I'm not going to say. Anybody, I know it happened, and anybody that watches Fox News that are positive thinkers know that some of the things that they're saying is nothing but racist, especially against the president of the United States. And I am not a Republican nor a Democrat.
What are you? What are you? An independent?
I am that's right.
Independent. Okay. How long have you been the president of the Fayettville, North Carolina NAACP, Mr. Buxton?
Approximately 9 years.
9 years. Holy cow. How does that work? Do you get elected or appointed?
Election every 2 years, sir.
Election every 2 years. How big's the membership of the NAACP branch in Fayetteville?
We have one of the largest branches in North Carolina.
But approximately how many members? Just curious.
I'd rather not say.
You'd rather not say. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, listen, Mr. Buxton, I'm sorry we disagree. I very much appreciate you taking some time out of your very busy schedule to join us here on the Mike Gallagher Show.